Bruce Lee was the ultimate warrior. He trained his body to be untouchable, his mind to be unshakable. He took on street fighters, martial arts masters, and even challenged the traditions of combat itself. But even the strongest fighters have fears. There was one thing that haunted Bruce Lee, a fear so powerful that it shaped his philosophy, his training, and even his legacy. What was the one thing that terrified the dragon? Let's find out. 1. Bruce Lee's fear of stagnation. Bruce Lee didn't fear an opponent. He didn't fear pain. What terrified him the most was the idea of not evolving. He believed that martial arts must always grow. He feared being trapped in rigid traditions that limited a fighter's ability. He once said, "If you spend too much time thinking about a thing, you'll never get it done." For Bruce, staying still was worse than losing a fight. It meant death, not physically, but mentally and spiritually. 2. His fear of time. Running out, Bruce Lee lived as if he was racing against time. He trained harder, faster, and more intensely than anyone because he feared that he wouldn't have enough time to share his philosophy with the world. He pushed his body beyond human limits. He wrote and filmed relentlessly, documenting his ideas. He often spoke about living with urgency, as if he knew his time was limited. And tragically, he was right. Bruce Lee's life was cut short at just 32 years old. 3. The fear that drove him to greatness. Instead of letting fear control him, Bruce Lee used it as fuel. He trained like a man possessed because he never wanted to stop improving. He created Jeet Kune Do because he feared martial arts would become too rigid and ineffective. He studied philosophy, psychology, and biomechanics to ensure his mind and body were in perfect sync. His fear didn't weaken him. It made him invincible. Bruce Lee turned his greatest fear into his greatest strength. So here's the question. What's your biggest fear? And will you let it stop you, or will you use it to push yourself beyond limits? Drop a comment below, and let's talk. Bruce Lee wasn't afraid of fighting. He wasn't afraid of pain. He was afraid of not growing, not evolving, and not having enough time to achieve his vision. But instead of running from that fear, he embraced it. He trained harder, thought deeper, and pushed further than anyone else. And that's why he became a legend. So the real question is, what are you doing with the time you have?